All right, so I just finished this knife today, and I just wanna go over it, do a small video on it. So I'll talk about the specs. I did mess up on some stuff. I'll talk about that, and then I'll talk about design, why I designed it the way I did. So yeah, specs first. It is a Magnacut knife. It was professionally heat treated by Peter's Heat Treatment to close to 63 Rockwell hardness. The blade is 8 inches long. It is 3 inches wide, and it might be a little bit more than 3 inches wide. The handle is probably 4 1/4 inches, but if you follow the curvature, it's like 4 3/4, something like that. I used maroon terrata for the handle and maroon G10 for the pins and the the liners. And then, so this pin here is also G10. I'll talk about that in a second. And well, I guess, yeah, so this is pretty much done, except there is a couple things that I just have to use the knife in order to decide whether I'll change anything or not. One of them is this thing right here, this guy. You can see it's a barrel. So I might change it into a circle, but I like it like this so far. Not how it looks, but I like how it feels. So I have to mess with that, to use it and see how it feels after I do some things with it. The other thing is the thickness of the edge. This is like pretty thick behind the edge. It cuts fine, but I did it because this thing has a lot of weight in the front, and I have had Magnacut warp on me before when I went too thin. So it's just a precaution. I can always take more off. So I'll see how that goes too. So those two things. So, but it is pretty much done. Let me show you it actually before I go on. So yeah. Okay. And so the mess ups. The first one is, so this is supposed to be an evil eye. You see the white is cracked. I didn't notice that until today when I started working on it. And I had to make this thing myself, so it's basically just 3/8 rod with a 1/4 inch rod with a 1/8 inch rod. I just kept drilling it with my drill press. And I guess when I put one of these pins in, that's when it split. I just didn't notice it. And if you look at the middle one, the 1/8 black pin is actually, that's the only one that goes absolutely through the tang. So that one goes completely through. There's the 1/8 hole in the metal tang itself. And these bigger ones are just holes in the scale itself. This one is pretty obvious what the problem is. See, the the pupil isn't centered. So it's supposed to be looking this way. And it kind of is, I guess. But yeah. This thing, I made this thing like 5 times, and this is, you should have seen the other ones. This is the best iteration of it. And so only using my drill press, I had to figure a way. I used the steel itself as a template, and I had to figure out a way of lining everything up so that middle 1/8 pin had to still fit in that hole, and it still had to go through both scales, and then I still had to align these things, turn them the way they were supposed to be, and all that stuff. So it's just a mess in general. So yeah, those are the two mess ups, and I don't know how I feel about it. Later on, I guess I'll decide on that too, I suppose. But yeah, so going on just the design. This thing, just think about it as basically a cleaver with a point. Basically, I wanted something that could chop really well, but that was relatively short. This thing is, in total, is about 12 inches maybe. It's a little bit more. It's probably like a 1/4 inch more than 12 inches. So it is relatively short for its ability to chop. So I wanted something like that, and I did want it for it to be able to poke. And for the handle, I like having a stop. So when I do poke something or jab at something, I believe you transfer a lot more power or energy if you have just a dead stop. If your hand does not slide, it does not move, it just smacks into something. So just hitting something instead of just gradually slowing down, which makes sense. But who knows how much energy is the difference between, two handles that one that does and one that doesn't, or whatever. So that's why I put the scales all the way up to here, so I can have this whole platform as a stop, this guy's a stop, and I didn't want to have just the stock thickness of the metal itself to stop my hand if I hit something hard. And it's about 0.2 inches thick, I believe 0.211, something like that. It is thicker than another one I showed. So there's another knife I made similar to this one. This one's a little bit thicker. And then yeah, I made the handle so that it fits my hand like perfectly. Here's ice pick grip. Here's just regular, what would you call this? Just sword grip? Saber grip. That's weird. That feels weird. But yeah, so it fits fine. It fits like, well, not fine, perfectly. So yeah, I'm happy with that. And then yeah, so besides that, let me just show you the knife. I think it came out nice. Whoop. So yeah. So any questions, suggestions, let me know.